Okay, everybody, we've already started out building some of the floor of our teardrop camper, and I'm going to go over the highlights of this build. Nothing was overly complicated, so I'm just going to go over what I've done so far. And if you're following my build, greatly appreciate having you along. Leave us a comment if you got any questions or if I missed some details that you'd like to know more information about. You can also go over to Facebook and leave us a message on the Floribama Homesteading channel. I'm active on the DIY Teardrop Builder community Facebook forum over there also. So you can find me over there if you got any questions or comments. But what we're looking at is our trailer is 10 foot long, and it's not quite 5 foot wide. If you're going by Tony Latham's book, he recommends making it a 1/2 inch short. That way the sides of your cabin will come down and not hit the trailer frame there. So our trailer frame is 4 foot 11.5 inches wide. We're a 1/2 inch short of being a full 5 foot. So that leaves us a 1/4 inch on both sides is what we were really shooting for. So 10 foot boards front to back. Our cross member 48.5 inches for the end boards and the boards right down the middle to be able to fill in that gap. Now, Tony recommends that whenever you're putting in the boards in the middle, he uses 3/4 inch plywood up on end to give it strength. And at the time, I didn't have my 3/4 inch plywood bought that I was going to buy to do my sidewalls with, so I used what I had. I had some dimensional lumber laying around, so I cut down dimensional lumber and I just plugged it in every so often, looking at the diagram. Now, the important part is this front board here. This is going to support our headboard cabinets on the inside of our trailer. The front wall is going to come down here. I'm going to build a front cabinet here. And on the back of our trailer, this area back here, this is all going to be galley. This is going to be supporting a lot of weight, maybe some beating and banging around. So Tony recommends that you put a solid board back here. So when we did get the boards for our side walls, our 3/4 inch plywood, I took what was left, cut 24 inches, and plugged that in right there at 24 inches wide. And again, 48.5 inches long to be able to fill that gap. Now, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's a seam right down the side of this over here. So I had to take 2 pieces of wood and make it work. So I just kind of fit it in over here. And I come along right here where this gap was, and I put dowel plugs in to add support. I glued those dowel plugs in, and then I put the plywood in. Now what you see here is 3/4 inch foam insulation. Let me see if I can pull one of these up for you. No, it's not coming out too easy here. Up on that. You can see what that 3/4 inch, I got it at Lowe's, and it's not very expensive. It was easy to find, so I went over there and picked that up. Cut that to fit in there, and I came up short on a couple of pieces right here towards the end, so I had to cut some pieces and make them fit in right there. But it's not quite 48 inches, or it's over 48 inches. So I had to turn the insulation long ways and then make 48.5 inch cuts that way. And it's not optimal, but if you're going to build a 5 foot wide trailer, nothing's going to be optimal when everything is in 4x8 sheets. You're going to have a lot more waste, a lot more patching. And I can tell you, whenever we do our patching, none of it's going to be structural. None of it's going to be cosmetic. You're not going to be able to see patchwork in this build. the integrity is going to be there. You're not going to worry about something breaking and falling in half because it's not done right. I'm going to try to do this as best as possible. So the 3/8 plywood that you see right here is the same plywood that I built my sidewall templates out of. And I did that so wood can be interchangeable. So I made my templates out of that. I'm going to make my flooring out of that. And what I want to show you today is basically the dimensions, what it is, and then what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to come along and we're going to use another 3/8 inch sheet of plywood. We're going to put glue down all the way around. We're going to lay our plywood down. We're going to seal this up, let this dry. We're going to come back, flip the whole thing over, and then we're going to glue down the sheet that's on the bottom here. So we're going to fix the top first and get that where we want it. Then we're going to flip it over and do the bottom side that you see on the trailer. So stay tuned, and we're going to show you some clips of doing the glue down. And when we get that glue down, what you're also going to see is us coming back and putting varnish along the top side that we're going to sleep in. But on the bottom, we're going to put fiberglass down there. I've already ordered my resin, already ordered my fiberglass cloth. And so we're going to clip that in. Whenever that gets here in a couple of days, we're going to go ahead and start fiberglassing this thing. So I hope you're enjoying the videos. All right, one more thing I forgot to mention. Whenever I was framing all this up, I got a pocket hole jig from Harbor Freight. It's almost like the Craig tool, but cheaper. I went through and put my quarter boards all together with pocket holes and screws. And that front headboard piece is pocket hole. This center piece here, this piece here is all pocket hole. And then I was able to pick it up, put it on the frame without worried about it falling apart or anything like that. So I wanted to add that in there. And also, if you look under the frame, there are holes, bolt holes, every so often, and there are cross member pieces to give this metal piece a lot of support so that when we're laying in it, it doesn't potentially sag or anything like that. So about every 2 or 3 feet apart, about every 2 foot, is a piece of metal to be able to support all that. So this is going to function as one solid unit when we glue it all together. And then when we put the fiberglass on the bottom, that also we're going to run fiberglass all the way up the sides so that this is waterproof and we don't have to worry about water penetrating, getting in, causing mold and rot, deterioration. So everything that has a potential of leaking and getting water into the cabin, we're going to fiberglass over and we're going to seal up with epoxy resin. So that's one of the things I ordered. When I ordered my resin, I ordered 3 gallons. They're saying, you know, 6 quarts, 2 gallons to do a build. I ordered 3. I wanted extra. I didn't want to be in the middle of something, run out, or just know that I'm going to go the extra mile to ensure that this is a solid piece that won't leak. All right, one of the problems that you're going to find out whenever you get ready to put the plywood on your boards, it's not going to match up exactly perfect down to the 64th of an inch. What I did, went to Home Depot, got a flush trim bit. Whenever we get this thing done and it's all glued up. Before we put the fiberglass on it, I'm going to take my trim router and I'm going to run through there and I'm going to trim everything so that it's exactly flush. And then that way everything is spot on perfect. You can also come back and screw all this down and put, you know, a ton of screws in it to make sure that everything is secure whenever it's drying. I'm choosing not to go that route. I'm just going to put all this wood on here, get it lined up as best as I can. We're going to put weights all over the place and we're going to hold it down flush until it dries. Let this thing dry overnight. Now we take everything heavy that we have in the shop and we put all over the place so that everything is held down until the glue dries. Old water pump, so that's pretty heavy. Now we're going to grab some clamps and it's got to go around and clamp in spaces that we see that are making good contact. A good woodworker has plenty of clamps at any time he needs them. I'm not a good woodworker. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, and I'm just going to keep an eye and just look for gaps that I might have to put additional weight on. Stay tuned. Alright, hey everybody, Randall here, back with our trailer build. And the glue is dry. It's been a few days, and we're just picking up. It's Saturday, and it's about 35 degrees outside. I wanted to get the bottom side of the trailer bed fiberglass today. Now we're going to fiberglass this side, let it dry, and then flip it over, and then that will become the bottom side. And then the other side we will prep, and that will be the inside portion of our cabin. I got our fiberglass in. I got UV protected resin from Reka, and the style 120 3 ounce, I think it's like 3.25 ounce fiberglass. And this is supposed to be a lighter weight fiberglass, wets out better, but it is just as strong, if not stronger, than the 6 ounce fiberglass. And it was cheaper than it has been in the past. So I went ahead and ordered this, and we're going to give this a try and see how this works out for us. Now, our resin, because it's been so cold, doesn't work very well whenever it's cold outside. So I kept the resin in overnight, kept it at room temperature inside the house, about 70 degrees, mid 70s. So it should be able to wet out and work properly. And in the corner of the shop, I got a heater going. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but trying to get some warmth going in here so that this resin will set up and cure properly. It's supposed to warm on up today, about 60 degrees. So we get this fiberglass rolled out and wetted out. Then we can roll this trailer outside if we need to and let the sun help cure it. And if not, then we'll just let the heater run and try to keep some warmth in the space until the fiberglass cures. So, all right, let's get to it. Whenever they ship the resin, it comes wrapped in these bags and it's tied into a knot. I went ahead and untied it. We went ahead and ordered the measured dispensers. So 1 pump. This mixture is 2 to 1, so it'd be 2 pumps of the blue and then 1 pump of the hardener. Yeah, this is the hardener. So 1 pump of hardener, 2 pumps of resin, and that's our mix ratio. These are pre-measured, so we could pop these in here and leave these. And I normally in the past, whenever I'm doing a fiberglass project, I've never used these. I would just measure it out and mix it myself. And at the end of the day, whenever I've used my entire gallon, I come up to an improper mixture. So I figured I could probably get better cost effectiveness out by using the pumps, and it'll go faster, so I don't have to stop and measure. I could just pop it out and stir it up. All right, I ordered 16 yards of fiberglass to do the bottom, the sides, and the top of this whole entire build. I just went ahead and ordered it all just to save on shipping costs. I think it was like $40 to ship all this stuff to where I'm located, and I don't want to have to order and pay shipping again, because that really cuts into the cost of the build. So let's get to it. Now I'm going to save these bags, and we'll put our resin back in these bags whenever we're done for the day. Take them back in the house and keep them at a controlled temperature for our next portion of the build. The fiberglass that I ordered is 60-inch wide fiberglass. Our build here is 59.5, as you know, if you've been following us. So it's going to overlap just 1/4 of an inch on the sides. And I'll probably just come back and trim that off if I don't make that lay down over the sides a little bit. Well, like I said, this is going to be the underside of the trailer. So I'm not worried about taping off around the edges so that my walls can properly be glued to the trailer. When we flip it over to do our inside of the cabin, then we'll take that into consideration. Set this out of the way for now. I got a tongue depressor as a stir stick, and I got my squeegee for smoothing over the fiberglass. You can also order these from Reka. Whenever I did my cedar strip canoe build, I already held this over from then. And I'm going to be mixing in this plastic cup, and if you watched my last video, don't ever throw these cups away. Whenever the resin hardens in the bottom, you can just reach in and pull that out and reuse your cup. So I've used that cup for several resin pours already. I don't remember if I told you, but I did a light sanding on this bed just to clear off any marks so that it looks nicer whenever we put the fiberglass and resin on. Not that that's important, just one extra step. Now I bought 16 yards of resin for this 5x10 build, but that's a little extra than you actually need. I just wanted to make sure that I have any extra just in case something happens. One of the techniques to fiberglassing that I've done in the past is you can put down a base coat of resin, let it dry to almost tacky, and then roll your cloth out and then resin over the top of that. Don't do that. It's horrible. It made my wife cry whenever we tried to do it for the canoe. Everything got sticky. The fiberglass stuck to it. You couldn't move it around. We had to pull it off, and it was really messing things up. Just go ahead and roll it out over dry wood and then put your resin on it. The resin will go right down through there anyway. So don't do that route if it's ever recommended to you. I do not recommend it at all. Want to make sure that you try to keep your cloth dust free, because if any little splinters get in that, it's going to reflect in your epoxy fiberglassing project. Now I just left about an inch overhang on the front, a little bit on the back, and then we got two choices. You can either come back and trim that off even, or you can try to lay it down and strengthen the edge joints of the project. Your choice. So I did 6 pumps of resin, and we'll do 3 of hardener. All right, so we got it in there. Go ahead and give it a mix. You want to mix this good for about 2 minutes. Make sure you get the sides of it all mixed in. Now, being that it's so cold out today, this isn't going to react as quick as if it was like 90 degrees outside. Whenever it gets hot outside and you try to do resin, this kicks a lot quicker. Now, if I notice that this is heating up and it's getting to where the resin's bonding and reacting, you can spread this out and it will really slow that process down. So we'll get this mixed up, let it start reacting about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll start wetting it out. And don't be in a rush whenever you're mixing this stuff. First time you ever do this, you'll be nervous. You're like, oh my God, I gotta hurry up and get this done before before my resin's not good. But see, the resin is starting to come clear now. When it starts to clear up, then you know your mixture is good. Nice and thin. The way it drips right off the stick there, this is looking good. Make sure you're getting the corners off the edges. If you do a sloppy job of mixing, it'll be sticky and it'll never cure. So you want to make sure that you have a good even mix whenever you're mixing your resin. Okay, this is looking good. So when you get this mixed up, you can just go ahead and pour this whole thing out. And work from the center back out to wherever you're working, so that this you're not leaning over into a place you just worked and you're getting it all over you. You want to work outward back to you. That in the areas where the wood has come together, I glued those down, but those are some open joints. This resin is going to go in between those joints and act as a glue, a glue that's so good that that joint will never come apart. The wood would break before that joint breaks. Now, the reason that I chose to put fiberglass is that this will protect the bottom from any kind of debris kicking up, and it also waterproofs the bottom so that when you're driving through rain and snow, you don't have to worry about the underside getting wet and then molding and rot setting in and stuff like that. So if you can encapsulate your wood in epoxy resin and fiberglass, there's no worries of this thing ever leaking. everybody. We finished out the wetting of the epoxy onto the fiberglass, and I didn't feel like that was very beneficial to keep on filming that to show you guys. You guys get the idea. Use a squeegee, squeegee it out. And then one of the things that I didn't film is I came back with a foam roller, and I went ahead and bought a big pack of these at Home Depot because during this whole entire project I'm going to be fiberglassing multiple times. So I saved a few bucks and bought the foam rollers. Now I like using the foam rollers to do epoxy because it doesn't hold a lot of epoxy inside the foam itself. After about 30 minutes of using these, the epoxy will start to set and harden. And if you continue to use epoxy as it's starting to set, it'll mess up your epoxy job. So these are quick, dispensable. Throw these away. Here's the little roller hook. They just slide right on there. So I used this to put on one more coat over the top after I did the initial wet out, and that was to fill in the cloth and to strengthen the fiberglass altogether. Now, one of the things you'll run into whenever you're doing fiberglass is air bubbles. So as the resin starts to kick and react, it'll generate air bubbles. It's not air bubbles that you weren't careful to eliminate. It's air bubbles that are generated as it's starting to heat up and cure. So one of the tricks is whenever you start seeing those air bubbles, get you a little propane torch like this, turn it on, click it, and then this is the way you do it, is you see the air bubbles, you just want to wave your little torch right over the air bubbles, and it'll pop them right out. It'll smooth out that finish and make it a nice finish for you. Do not concentrate that thing in one space more than 1 second, or you'll start to do damage to your epoxy. You just want to wave it just to pop the air bubbles. That's all you're trying to do. I got a few bugs in this project when I rolled it outside to try to cure, and I'm not worried so much about the bugs because we're going to flip this over and this is going to be the bottom. So you're not going to see the finish on this, but when I get ready to do the finish over the top, I'll probably do that inside here so that we can keep bugs from flying into it and try to keep any kind of debris from getting into our resin. So, hope you enjoyed the build. That was the floor. We're going to move on and finish up some of the other parts of the project. We've already started the template, the sides, you know, some of the other things I've already started, and you'll see those in later videos as we post those up and get those completed and finished for you. So, thanks for watching.